Hello, my name is Jacob King, and today I will be responding to the claim that a meat-based diet has substantial and harmful consequences. My advocate claims that having a meat-based diet has substantial harmful consequences to the human health and environment, stemming from specifically her secondary claim one, which is about animal antibiotics, and her second one, which is about how animal agriculture destroys natural environments like rainforests. First, I will be responding to her secondary claim about animal antibiotics. The advocate claims that antibiotic resistance is an urgent threat and allows for bacteria to become untreatable that were once formidable. She skews this information as this research only refers to humans. Animals and animal models do not have the same biology that humans do. According to the National Anti-Vivisection Society, which is an organization against animal testing and commercial use, they state that, quote unquote, even though humans share genetic material with other animals, it doesn't necessarily mean it is expressed in the same way, referring to the animal models. And also, a study which compared to the activity of human genes important for sepsis, which is a life-threatening bacterial infection, with equivalent mouse genes, revealed that humans and mice use very different sets of genes to cope with these insults. 150 drugs that treated sepsis-like conditions worked on mice, but not in human trials. The antibodies used in animals in factory farms are specifically for animals and should not be an issue for humans. The second claim I'll be responding to is about how animal agriculture destroys natural environments like rainforests. CAFOS, explained by the advocate, stands for Concentrated Animal Feeding Operations, which is an operation where animal manure or wastewater is being discharged into a stream or waterway. CAFOs are actually facilities which offer a more efficient system to feed and house animals through specialization according to the National Conference of State Legislatures. Although it does lead to more waste when exercised properly, the waste being produced actually benefits the land by fertilizing crops and restoring nutrients to the land around them. The advocate also expresses that animal agriculture destroys natural environments. One of the bigger issues on this is that the expansions of cities will expand into cropland and food production facilities, including farmhouses. So it is not actually that animal agriculture destroys environments, but it is urban sprawl. The Guardian warns that this will undermine food security, and on a regional scale, Africa and Asia specifically, together will bear 80% of the projected loss due to rising urbanization. So it isn't animal culture that is destroying natural lands, but urban sprawl supposedly by 2030. I talked about how, first, that antibiotics are specifically used for humans and are a different breed used in animals, and second, that urbanization is actually one of the biggest issues when it comes to destroying natural environments. Thank you.
All right, structurally, you labeled the advocate's claims pretty clearly on the antibiotic issue. Your argument is basically comes down to that animals and humans aren't comparable, so the notion that there's an antibiotic, either cross-contamination or influence on human beings, isn't really applicable. I don't think that this works very well for your argument here. The anti-vivisection group is talking about how the genetic material is different, but that seems to suggest that maybe research on animals is problematic. It doesn't suggest that diseases can't come from animals or they can't be transferred, especially if the antibiotics that are being created are created for animals by men and then they create some problem for us. So it's not really the animals generating this as a source of a problem. It's us attempting to make the animals fit that are creating this source of the problem. And like I said, your criticism of the genealogy between animals and humans seems a little bit less applicable here than it would to maybe some other argument on the way animals are being utilized. On the agriculture issue, you do suggest that the real source of the problem is urban sprawl, and you've got a general piece of evidence that suggests that, but other than that there's not really much data. You don't really respond to the advocate's argument about this information. The environmental stuff you did suggest that there is an answer to, that it restores the land, creates fertilized land. This is all an assertion on your part. There's not really any data or expert that says that this is the case. The notion that it's urban sprawl, I think there's a little bit of evidence on that, but it's mostly like opinion evidence that is, there's not much quantification of it, and it's not really put into much of a context. You've got a couple of reasonable arguments to be making, but I think they're sometimes missing the bigger picture. And one of the things, especially on the second one, the whole answer is based on a criticism of drawing an analogy between animals and humans, when that doesn't seem to be the basis of the advocate's argument about the source of the harm. So that was just confusing. All right, thank you.